Please subscribe Digital India.
That is my personal observation of Islam's dynamics, where it comes in contact with Hindustan and where it does not. There is a marked difference. So where it enters the lands of Sindh and Hind and is touched, where it is given protection by the Hindu kings of Sindh, the Prophet's family had to take refuge there. That development of Islam west of Delhi, east of Delhi, where it spread, it has an indigenous character of embedded in Hindustani wisdom, the Vedas. They have an influence on that. Yeah, if you look at the Islamic University of, say, Jakarta, as compared to, say, the Islamic University in Islamabad. Jakarta has Lord Ganesh as its symbol. It's an Islamic university of much higher standard than Islamic. In Islamic University of Islamabad, if it had Lord Ganesh, it would be burned down, right? So anything that allowed Islam to develop outside invasion, whether it was in Kerala or Tamil Nadu or Bengal or Burma and Malay, southern Philippines, Cambodia, Vietnamese Islam, they are touched by Indian influences. They became indigenous to the soil and took on a culture. You go west of the Himalayas, you go west even of Delhi, which was the main brunt of Islamic invasions from Central Asia, Turkey or Iran. There's a complete lack of tolerance. And this is right in front of our eyes and we don't see it. You go to Bengal, you have, puja taking place in an island of Islam that is surrounded, it's the only Islamic society that has no border with any other Islamic society. It's an island. Other than Tartaristan, Bengal is the only island of Islam. Everywhere else, Muslim majorities are interconnected with other allies, right? These developed on their own, the Malays, the Javans, the Borneo people, in Sulawesi and in Thailand, they are comfortable with Lord Buddha. They are comfortable with puja. They will have Holi also. Yeah, but that's my point, that is not Vedic Islam, that is Arabized Islam. And the Prophet Muhammad didn't come for the Arabs. He said, "Mere andar, मैं हिंद से नहीं हूँ लेकिन मेरे अंदर हिंद है, Hindustan." That's the Prophet. So he had deep admiration for India. That is why the first mosque built in Islam before Mecca is in north of Cochin. But what I call the Arabized Muslims don't go for ziyarat over there. They go to Quwwat Islam Mosque in Delhi, which was built after destruction of 26 Jain temples, with the Qutub Minar and all that, right? So the mentality also comes from one of embracing good, and the other comes from dominating the other. It is because Arab Islam essentially was written and dominated by the enemies of the Prophet Muhammad. The Umayyad dynasty was built on the blood of the Prophet's family. Indian Islam is the place where Islam was embedded by the victims of Arab oppression. The mosque in Kerala was given by a Hindu king. These traders are coming here. Where will they worship? Give them the land. This is the mosque built in 629. Nobody in the Arab world cares for it. Because it is imperial in its nature. It seeks to colonize others. And in doing so, the Arabs have lost sovereignty over themselves. After the year 1258, when Baghdad was blasted by the Central Asians and burned to the ground, for blood flowed to, the Tigris was red for. So that's 1258. After that, the Arabs have never had sovereignty of themselves. And they justified that by saying, we don't need sovereignty, we're superior people. And Sharia written in the 14th century by Ibn Taymiyyah said that for a non-Arab like me to consider myself equal to an Arab is a sin. So the Arab people were told, you don't have to do anything, you are A grade, top grade. All these other Desi, Indian, black, Abdi, Rafiq, Siddiq, it's garbage, this is for you. So you see that racism in Kuwait, in Saudi Arabia, they treat Indian Muslims like garbage. And we somehow love it, because we are brainwashed into thinking that is superior grade Islam, not knowing that that is the product of the massacre of the Prophet's family. It is Abu Sufyan was the character who was the biggest opponent of the Prophet. Before Mecca surrendered to the Prophet, Abu Sufyan changed sides. His son later became the one who challenged the Prophet's family. Abu Sufyan's grandson is the one who murdered the Prophet's grandson. And that is the time when Sharia law was written. So one has to be pretty stupid and illiterate or blind to not see that Islam is what is practiced in India. What the Arabs are practicing is Abu Sufyan, the enemy of the Prophet. Because of the oil boom, a lot of Indians have gone to work in the oil-rich Gulf area. They used to go to Oman before oil. That Oman was more India than any, Muscat, Rupiah chalta tha and all that. The dynamics after 1973 war in the Middle East, two things happened. There was a shock and awe in the Muslim world that Israel could single-handedly defeat the biggest army that was supported by America and knock them out. And both Damascus and Cairo were within the range of Israeli IDF artillery, and in Golan they went uphill and took over the Golan Heights. They still control that. There was this shock. Oil embargo came. Suddenly oil went from $35 a barrel to $100. The Arabs then had to do literally nothing to be rich. And the trickle-down economics of the Arab oil boom is that every Arab is slightly richer than the rest of us in India. Reason being that this vast network of contracts and investment didn't go into like creating universities of excellence. There's no Harvard in the Arab world. No, so the Keralites and the Tamil Muslims were already cut off from their links to the northern Indian Muslim because of partition. The first crime has been committed. India's limbs have been amputated. Now the only place where Pakistan Muslim League exists, All India Muslim League, is in Kerala. Imagine that. So it's an identity crisis. Now, once the men are gone to earn money, prior to the oil boom, whether it's a Hindu woman or a Muslim woman, she's working in Kerala. They were the most socially advanced society under Nambudripad's government. Education was there. The CPI was, running the state. I'm talking of the 1959 election. But different. Literacy was 100%. Kerala was the only, where Muslims lived, the only 100% literate people who are Muslims. There's no other place. So instead of being, unfortunately, instead of using that enlightenment to spread north, to lead the Hyderabadi controlled Islam and the Deoband controlled Islam and the Kashmiri controlled Islam, there are multiple Islams in India. They become wealthy to the extent that their women stop working. They don't need to work. If you're getting 4 times the income of your manager, why does your wife have to work? So she stays at home. He's not there all the time. Now he's saying, what is my wife doing? I'm there. She can't join me. Burqa comes in. The same male prejudice, fear, lack of confidence that a woman, if I'm not controlling her, will cheat on me. She's sleeping around with someone. He doesn't know. It's a state of mind. All sailors who were away for 6-7 months would come back to find the wives are gone. I'm talking medieval times. That's how chastity belts came out in Europe. So the burqa is a chastity belt. To make sure she doesn't go out, convinces her that this is for your protection because you are like candy, I've covered you up. That's what they say. They ruined India's most enlightened Muslim society and made it today the most vulnerable. That is why when Malala says education is the key, absolute nonsense. Look at Kerala. They're dressed up like Arabs. Why? The Arabs spit on them. If you go to the Middle East, if a Malayali or a Bengali or a Tamil, the dark skin-colored Indian, the Punjabis are a bit fair. I mean, you would be treated with some respect. Your skin is not dark. The moment your skin gets dark and you're short, you're finished. You're addressed by the Arab as Ya Abdi, oh my slave. That's normal language. The most racist ethnic culture on earth today is that of the Arabs. He should come to his senses, read his history. He should understand that he owes a great deal to the Hindus of this land that gave refuge to the Prophet's family. If my parents are helped by someone in the neighborhood, at least I should take some, laddus or something like, thank you, aapne khayal rakha. Idhar ulta hisab hai. You have Khilafat movement, they came out and killed Hindus during the Mupalla rebellion. That means the leadership there's something wrong. There's a sense of superiority complex. And then elements of Kerala society say we are actually Arab settlers. We're not even ethnic Keralites. That is now developing. I mean, I saw the Communist Party of India flag where the red had been changed to green. How, I mean, Dange or Nambudripad must be, I don't know if they're in graves or they are, but this is impossible to imagine. And it's happening within our generation. There's no leadership. They are misguiding by not being literate enough to even understand the Quran. I don't know these mullahs know that the Quran is not in chronological compilation. It is by size. It is not by order of inquiry or revelation. So the opening words of the Quran, which are read, and it says read and write, it doesn't say preach and pray. The whole verse is about, because I created you from a drop. It's profound. It's not the opening words in the Quran. You have to look for it. Ekida likha. They've jumbled it and put it somewhere in between. Now, to cover up your mistaken compilation, which happened long after the Prophet has died, wouldn't the Prophet support people taking right things? But no, they're carrying on the mistake made by the Arabs and Abu Sufyan's family to print the Quran in such a way. And mind you, this gentleman who set up Muawiyah, who set up the Umayyad dynasty, is the guy who fought against Ali, who's the greatest philosopher, a profound thinker in Islam. The Prophet's son-in-law, his cousin, his daughter was a feminist. I mean, the Prophet's wife was a feminist. Khadija, she was, I mean, you tell Muslims today, say from Kerala, we want to follow the example of Prophet Muhammad. Alhamdulillah. Then every 24-year-old Kerala Muslim should marry a 40-year-old, twice divorced, non-Muslim woman. If he doesn't do that, he better shut up and do some seva to somebody else. This is not Islam. That you are emulating the practice of marrying younger girls or selling your daughters to Saudi tourists in Hyderabad for 12-year-olds. Is this what we have become? That the beggars of yesterday are buying our daughters as if they're buying cattle? There's more respect for a camel in Arabia. No, not scripted. The compilation as a book. 300 different compilations, collections were burnt during the time of the third caliph. So you can imagine, there is no record. The earliest records of the Quran are from the year 800, from Yemen, and they're being studied in Germany and the British Library. The evidence is there. Well, there's hardly anything to challenge in the concept. You have to discard, for example, things that are outdated, that don't apply because we live in nation states. And living in nation states is a very new concept. Slavery, it is permitted, I will discard it. Why won't I? It is permitted. It just says be kind to them, but it is there. So just because nobody else does it, we are willing to give it up. But what about polygamy? What about first cousin marriages? It's permitted, but it is destroying our, physiologically destroying the entire Muslim community by first cousin marriages, which happens more in the elite upper class than in the working class. So you often find working class Muslims are far more sensible and witty and intelligent than educated ones. Nobody will follow any mullah anywhere. This is vastly exaggerated. These are petty versions of Zakir Naik. These are people who are not even sure of who they are. They're very insecure. Why would anyone religious, dress up like that, which is not indigenous to his land? I can understand a Buddhist or a Hindu priest dressing up the way Indians, but I would say, why are you dressed up like a Mongolian, for example? Muslims of India should have Indian names. For example, I'll give you 2 or 3 examples. There are many Indians whose name is Shamsuddin or something like that. Why is it named Suraj? When you can call it Shams, but you will never find an Indian Muslim with the name Suraj. Does it make the same sun Muslim sun? Or you will see Aftab, but you will never see Chand, unless the Muslim is poor. Then he's indigenous, so he can have Chand Babu kya haal hai. But if he's middle class, then he's Aftab. If he's upper class, he becomes Qamar. It's the same moon. Oh, you can never be a Muslim by wearing a burqa. God made your face, your eyes, so that others can see it. The Quran says, we created you into nations and tribes for you to know each other. So you can... It didn't say we covered up your face. If God wanted our faces to be covered, there would be something, a skin that we would pull over our head. Seriously. Did he have an engineering mistake in manufacturing? Oh, who covers their face? People who have something to hide. This is evil. There's no place, not even in Kaaba, not even in Haram, not even in Makkah are you permitted to cover the face. And these people, they walk in front, the wife is walking in the back, she's dressed up in black in this hot Bangalore sun. You think that is a choice? And other women are on their motorcycles. So this is a huge challenge to the leadership. I mean, I'm not a resident here, it's not my right, but that's my observation, that this is the biggest curse on the Muslim future of putting your mothers in caskets of cloth and throwing them at the back of the mosque by saying you dare not enter the front row. जो अपनी माँ को ये ट्रीटमेंट करता हो, उसको ऊपर वाला पूछेगा क्या? What did he do to your mother? Oh God, I threw him back. Never let her enter the mosque. And he will say that's okay. So this is completely off track. It's a supremacist idea, and it started with Muhammad Ali Jinnah's notion that we are separate. That Muslims cannot live under Hindu majority. Where there is a non-Muslim majority, we need to separate. But the same people apply for immigration to America, where there is a 95% non-Muslim majority. But they are white, so it's okay. Hindus are not white, so it's not okay. You think if Germany were all Hindus, would Muslims say, I'm not going to take refuge over there? All these hundreds of thousands coming in? That's what Muhammad Ali Jinnah said, that a Muslim cannot